Heather Sykes. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator with a crazy dog in Spokane, Washington. I come to you live every Wednesday night with 3 new cards or projects to make, and I show you how I make them. For those of you who are coming here for the first time, thank you for joining us. Those of you who are returning, welcome back. I'm glad you could join us. I love the little community that we're building here. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late tonight. I actually met up with a friend tonight for a little while. Got home a little bit late. So hopefully I have everything in order that we can just do some smooth sailing to get back into action here. A few things I want to tell you about. I talked a little bit last week about the special that we have going on right now. If you've ever thought about joining Stampin' Up!, now is a great time to do it. Normally our kit is $99 and you get $125 worth of products of your choice for your kit. Right now the special is still $99, but you get $155 worth of products excuse me, of your choice. So that's $30 extra worth of products, plus you get a paper pumpkin kit, plus you get free shipping, plus you get any catalogs or anything else you need like that. And the nice thing is that Stampin' Up! Accommodates all different types of demonstrators. We have demonstrators who like to do what I'm doing. They want to build a business, they want to do videos, you know, all that stuff. We also have demonstrators who have no interest whatsoever in making it a business at all. They simply want to get the discount on their own products. And then we have demonstrators who are somewhere in between. Stampin' Up! Is so awesome because they accommodate all of that. They encourage any of that. I heard a thing recently that our CEO was recently asked what's her vision for the company. And she said, I want to eradicate loneliness. And I thought, what a great personal mission to have. And that tells you kind of what the company is like. That they really want to encourage people to be involved at whatever level they want to be involved. So if you've ever even thought about it, if you have any interest, let me know. Give me a call, or send me an email, send me a message here on Facebook, any of that, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. You can also go to my website, which you'll see the website information in a little bit. You can get more information there. You can also sign up directly there. So, but let me know if you have any questions I can answer for you. Another special we have going on right now is all of our designer paper. I shouldn't say all, but most of our designer papers are 15% off through the month of June. By the way, the special to sign up is through the month of June. Through the month of June is also the paper special, where if you've seen some of our new designer series papers that are out, there's some pretty amazing ones, and it's a great time to stock up on them because you can get them at a discount. Again, you can see the different papers on my site, or they are in the catalog, and if you need one of our new catalogs that just came out at the beginning of May, if you don't have a demonstrator that you already work with, I would be happy to send you a catalog. Just let me know you need one. So that's all the housekeeping stuff I think I have to tell you about. Not a whole lot going on here in the household to tell you about. I am going to get my computer set up here so that I can see your comments on my monitor, which leads me into telling you about participating in conversation. Hang on here. Okay, get it on me. Oh, lots of people commenting already. Yay! So we've got Marcia and Kathy and Joyce, Jenny. That's so funny, Jenny, that you finally remembered. Yeah, those phone calendars do help, don't they? I tend to forget about mine all the time, so I get it. Let's see who else is here. John's here, and Nancy, Marcia, Susan, Teresa. So welcome everybody. What a good turnout we've got tonight. So anyway, what I was starting to say about conversation. I love it when people participate in the conversation. It helps to build that community and make it fun for everybody. So anybody who joins in with comments, whether you are answering each other, talking to each other, asking questions, talk to me, ask me questions, anything like that, when you put comments in, your name goes into a drawing that I will award the following week, and you get a prize. Now, what qualifies this conversation? Anything. If you prefer to be a wallflower, My screen is frozen here, so I want to get it going the right direction here. If you prefer to be a wallflower and all you want to do is say hello and tell me where you're from, that's okay too. Be sure to tell me where you're from though, because I love hearing where everybody's from. What I do is, excuse me, just a couple hours before I go live next week, I go back through all of the comments on both Facebook and YouTube and see everybody who's made a comment. Now the reason I wait till the last minute is so that I can include people who watch this on a replay, either here on Facebook or YouTube. So everybody gets a chance to be in the drawing and win the prize. So hopefully you'll get to do that. I love hearing from you guys. So Teresa's in Boise. Oh, thunder and rain in Boise, huh? I do like a good thunderstorm. Okay, my ex-husband, his family had property out at the lake, and it used to be so awesome to sit out, and the front of the house was just big, huge windows. And it was so awesome to just sit there by the windows and watch all the thunder, or listen to the thunder, and watch all the lightning on the lake, like hitting the water. It was really cool. So, okay, let's go ahead and get this turned around. We will award our prize for last week's conversation, and then we'll get going on some cards. Now, the cards I have for you this week, as I told you last week, I have 2 guest stampers this week, and they don't even know they're guest stampers. On occasion, people send me cards, and I got a couple that were funfuls that I really, really liked and wanted to share with you guys. So rather than just showing you the cards, I decided to make similar cards, and I'll also show you their original, and share those with you. So 2 of the cards we're making tonight are ones that someone out of your group has made. And then one is a shaker card, because last week somebody asked about a shaker card. So I said, I'll make one next week. So that's what I got for you this week. Oh my goodness, Mary said it's 96 degrees where she's at. Where are you at, Mary? Teresa's in Portland. So, okay, I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to let my dog outside because she's driving me nuts, and we're going to get going. Hang on. Get everything straightened out, because you know I can't handle it if it's crooked. Okay, there's a good start. Let's see if it'll stay straight if I move my camera back just a little bit. No, of course, it moved it. It moved it. Goodness gracious, you'd think I could get things a little more automated than this, but alas, I cannot. And by the way, if you do want to contact me with questions, suggestions, whatever, this is my email right here, stamphappenings@gmail.com, or again, you can send me a private message here on Facebook. Okay, hang on just a second. Okay, so first I have my prize here. This is some of our paper, hand penned. It's all black and white, and both sides. And then I also added in, you can't see it here, but 4 sheets of our black glimmer paper. It's really cool because it's really shimmery like glitter, only it's like fused to the paper, so you don't end up with glitter everywhere. It's really awesome. And then I threw in a few 6x6 sheets of red cardstock, the real red cardstock. Then there's some red gems and some red ribbon for you to create something really fun with that. And this week's winner is Kelly. Oh, Kelly, I hope I say this right. Beineck. Kelly watched the video on YouTube. So Kelly, I don't have your mailing address. So if you want to contact me, again, send me an email or a message on Facebook. Let me know your mailing address. I can get this out in the mail to you. Congratulations, Kelly. Okay, so the first card we're going to make, actually, let's start with one of the cards that I copied from one of you. It's going to use the color and contour stamps and the stylish shapes dies. You know, if you don't have these stylish shapes dies, I definitely recommend getting them. You guys see that I use them almost every single week. They're just very versatile because they're basic shapes, but they're also because there's some banners. I've seen lots of cute things done with them, but you just can't go wrong. They're just good shapes to have on hand. So I definitely recommend this set of dies. Okay, now the card we're going to make, let me first show you. This card came from Susan Grooms. And look at this. Isn't this awesome? It's a great little fun fold. And she actually was one of my prize winners one week and won this designer series paper. And maybe these embellishments were with it and made this card with it. So look at that. Isn't that an adorable card? Great little fun fold. Super easy to do. And I'm going to show you guys how. Okay, so the card we're going to make tonight, of course, it has a matching envelope because that's what I do. And this is it. And let's see, I'll untie this. And there you go. That's the inside. So let's go ahead and get this going. We'll start with the envelope. I'll have my door open so that Lucy can go in and out. And it smells like one of my neighbors is barbecuing. Isn't it a great card, Jenny? And Susan is in our Love to Stamp group. So if she isn't watching tonight, which she does actually watch very frequently, but if she's not watching tonight, we'll have to make sure to let her know that I liked her card so much, I cased it. If you don't know what casing is, CASE is an acronym. People have varying definitions of what it stands for. I originally learned it was for copy and steal everything. Since then, I have heard people say things like copy and selectively edit, which probably sounds better than stealing. Okay, so here's a strip of designer series paper. It's 2.5 inches by 6 inches. I just put a little glue on the flap of my envelope. Now I'm making sure my edges are matched up. You don't want to put too much glue on there because you don't want it to all squish out onto your envelope. And let's see, where are my scissors? Okay, and there we go, there's our envelope. I love decorating the envelopes that way. It's just kind of a fun way to add a little something extra, and it's fun to get something like that in the mail. Okay, so now let's do a little bit of cutting. For my card base, what I did is I took a sheet of cardstock, I cut it lengthwise, so it's 5.5 inches wide by 11 inches long. Then I scored it at 4 1/4. I guess I scored at 4 1/4 like this. Now, let me show you how I got that other piece there. And I guess I could do the cutting before I fold. It really doesn't matter which you do first. Now this end over here, this end is going to fold over. I should actually go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to fold it over just like that. Now the reason I didn't score that end, and you guys have heard me say this before, is because sometimes our paper just isn't, maybe you cut it just a little bit off, or maybe it was cut just a little bit off or whatever. And then you do your scoring and you fold it up and it doesn't quite work right. Oh, Kathy learned it as copy and steal everything too. Good. So I like to have one area scored so it folds over, and then I just fold the other end over against this edge, and that works just fine for me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trimmer, and this bottom edge right here, I'm going to line it up right in the groove, and then this corner is getting lined up right at the 1-inch mark of my trimmer right there. And I'm just going to cut it just like that. Okay, so that's how I got this edge. Now, the trick to getting the pieces that fit onto it, okay, you get the sizes that you would have used if it was uncut, like if I just wanted to put it there like that. You get the same sizes you would have used for that, okay, and then you cut it at the same angle that you cut the first piece. So again, I'm going to line this up at the 1-inch. I'm going to line this end up at my at the groove. Whoops, I just moved it with my thumb. Okay, and cut it. And then I just need to cut that little yellow base as well. There we go. Okay, so now we've got all the cutting done. Let's go ahead and glue. I'm trying to decide if I want to use my liquid glue. I think I'll use my liquid glue just because I have such a fine little margin there. I have room to, I can wiggle this around to get it lined up right, which is a little easier to do with the liquid glue than it is to do with like my seal. We have a lot of different types of adhesives, and some have different purposes, and some have the same purpose. It's just what your personal preference is. And so you'll find me using all the different ones all the time for various things. Okay, so now I've got this lined up. Now I'm ready to go ahead and put it on my card. I've got a little bit more, you know what, I was gonna say I have a little more of a margin to work with, but I think I'm just gonna use the liquid glue again. Again, you don't want to use too much, because when you have too much glue, and in addition to it squeezing out everywhere, it also kind of buckles your paper because it's wet, and you don't want your paper to look all buckled. It looks weird. And you can see little globs there. They'll dry clear, and I may even go in afterwards and take my adhesive eraser and just get that off. In fact, I might do that right now. This is just a little adhesive eraser I bought on Amazon. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell these. Sorry about the jiggling. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell these, but you can get them for just a couple dollars on Amazon. And they're great for just picking up that little bit of glue that you get in places that you don't want. And I do that quite frequently. I think every week you guys will see me using this. Okay, so now we have that piece done. Let's go ahead and do the inside of the card. I have a piece here of, this is very vanilla, and it is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and take these little strips. It's oh, by the way, I'm using the Inked Botanicals Designer Series paper. It comes in 6 by 6 sheets. And I think it's a really, really pretty paper. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue here. And again, just wiggle this a little bit to make sure that I've got it centered. Looks like maybe, no, I think I have enough glue there. Okay, and now I think I want to put it along the bottom, but I do have it, it's long enough I could do the side if I wanted, but I think I'm going to do it along the bottom. So again, another little strip of glue right about there. This card comes together so quickly. Just along the bottom like that. Sometimes I like to have it go all the way to the edge of the card, and sometimes I like to leave just a little bit of a mat there. Mine too, Jenny. I think it's so pretty and it's fun. I like that it's vibrantly colored, but it's soft at the same time. My friend Talina today was wearing a shirt that I loved, and I told her, I said, it's vibrant but soft. Okay, so now let's go ahead and attach this to the inside of the card. Oops, let's put it right side up though. And just kind of center it there between your folds. There we go. Now let's do the front. So I've got this piece of the Designer Series paper. This matches our envelope. And I do have a piece here of our crushed curry. And, you know, sometimes when you cut your paper, you get like this little lip on the edge. So I just take my bone folder and it flattens it back out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this on here. So I've got just a tiny little mat behind it. Whoops. Okay. I think that looks good. And we're going to stick this to the front of the card. And so we're just going to line it up here. I want to be able to see the edge. It's a little hard to see the edge when you've got a piece coming up the side like that. Okay. There we go. So that part is done. Now what we're going to do is, this is some of our, oh, I thought I put it in my basket. Oh, I did put it in my basket to show you. This is our 2023 to 25 in color jute trim. It comes in all 5 colors of the new in colors that were released this year. And you can see there's actually quite a bit there. And we are using the wild wheat. I thought it looked good with this crushed curry. And I'm just going to tie a little bow. Now the one thing I'm not super wild about with this trim is it's hard to keep it tight. Like I would have preferred maybe ribbon that stayed a little tighter so that it held this closed a little bit better. But, you know, I'll live. And now I just fiddle with it till I get the loops and the tails to be the length and the size that I want them. See, and it's coming loose already because, well, first of all, this one's too short, I think. Let's even this out. Let's do it again, folks. This bow tying, it's not for the weak. Hey, Talina. Welcome. I was just telling everybody about how I liked your shirt today because it was vibrant but soft. Okay, we're going to try this again. Try it again. Trying to hold it really tight. You know, I totally agree with you about wild wheat being a chameleon. I've seen it in some products and I don't like it because it looks too green to me. Others, like here, it looks like the crushed curry. So you're right, it is kind of weird. I think part of it depends on what the product is, and part of it just, I don't know, depends on your mood. Okay. See, I'm trying to, this piece is kind of flipping out on me, and that's kind of not making me so happy. Not making me so happy, mister. Wonder if I went like this. Well, I'm not going to spend all night making you watch me tie a bow. Okay, I'm just going to leave that for now. Going to trim that so we, I love that. One's curly and one is perfectly straight. That's okay. Now, the next step, let's do a little stamping. Got this little circle that I used my stylish shapes. And the stamps that I'm going to use, first I'm going to use this little flower. And this stamp set has the kind of flowers where there's like an inside and then there's a detail that you can stamp over it. But I wanted this to be just kind of a background in front of my words, so I'm just using this one. And then for the words, I have thank you for everything. So first we're going to take crushed curry ink. and stamp the flower. You don't need to stamp off. To let you know what stamping off is. If I wanted a lighter image than what this is going to stamp, I would stamp it like this on my scrap paper first, and then stamp it on whatever I'm stamping on. You can see how it gives you a lighter image because it got a lot of the ink off in that one. But this particular type of stamp is designed to be lighter and have a little texture look to it, so I don't need to stamp it off. There we go. Oh, I forgot to get my cleaning pad all wet. I think it'll be okay tonight though. Okay. Then I'm going to get out my Calypso Coral. Kathy says that this stamp set is her most used stamp set. I do like it. I think it's really pretty. I like the sentiments. I love the fonts. It's a great set. And now I'm going to stamp this right over the flower that we just stamped. Just like that. Now you want to be careful when you do something like this, because if your background is too dark, you can't read the front. And you can see it up close. You can see it pretty well when it's down on my desk. It blends in a little bit. But when it's up here, you can see that it stands out pretty well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some dimensionals on here. But I'm only going to put them on one side because I don't want to glue my card shut. So I'm going to move my ribbon, my jute, just a little bit. I'm going to put my dimensionals just like that on just the one side. Take the backs off. And now what I want is I want that jute to go right between those. So it doesn't create a weird bump going over the jute, but at the same time, it holds the ribbon in place to a certain degree. It'll still wiggle left and right, so I can adjust it to get it right where I want it. But the person can still untie it to open the card without having to worry about, the ribbon coming off. See how it keeps the card open like that? So the jute does cause a little problem in that regard, and I think it's just because it's so thick. But it's still, I like it. It looks good. And to be honest, when it's been sitting in the envelope for a while, that tends to break down the paper a little more so it stays in place. So that was card number 1. Let's go ahead and put everything away here. We can get going on card number 2. Okay, where? Okay, next, this is another one that was sent to me by one of you, and I love it. Let me show you her original. And it looks like Colleen Buttery sent this to me. She watches a lot. She might even be on here tonight. She's pretty regular. I think this is adorable. And to be honest, she used my all-time favorite paper that we have in this year's catalog. It is the paper I would have chosen to use, but I didn't want to totally copy her card. So I did something a little bit different. But here it is. This part is just a card base. It doesn't open. This is where it opens. So it's a sweet little section to write maybe a tiny little message or just sign it. Perfect if you aren't a big writer to write inside cards. But isn't this cute? And this, another nice thing about this is it showcases both sides of our DSP, Designer Series paper. So I'll move that one aside. Let's get going. I'll show you what we're going to make. Now ours is a little bit different. I used our Zany Zoo. I love the Zany Zoo. And look at her in her little ballet, all of them doing their little ballet moves. And here's the card. Ta-da! Now this paper is actually black and white, but I used our new Lemon Lolly color to color it, to bring out some more of the colors in the paper. So let's go ahead and get started. Lots of little pieces here. Now this was a little trickier because so much of it is white, and I didn't want there to be quite so much white on the card. So I did a few things to change that. So let's start with our envelope. That is, you know what? That's a great question about the dimensionals, because you know I usually have to put like 800 of them on there. That's so funny, because you're right, that's totally me. But it helps that I only wanted them on half, and I wanted them to straddle the jute. But I can tell you it was a little uncomfortable for me. I might have cried even. Okay, so now and I cut this specifically so that I'd have an entire dancer on there. Because if I cut it right from the edge that I had, you would have had the legs of somebody and the head of somebody else, but no complete dancer. Okay, so we're gonna trim the extra now. If you cut off a little bit of your envelope, don't worry about it. No one's going to know. I did leave a little more of the paper than I meant to. Usually, I don't always go back and trim when there's extra paper because it really doesn't matter, but there was a little more than I like to usually leave. So, there we go, just like that. Okay. Rid of some of these scraps here. All right, so now the first step, I didn't want to leave this plain white. Well, it's not plain white, it's black and white, isn't it? But I did want it to have a little more color than this. So I have one of my blender brushes and my Lemon Lolly ink. I love this yellow. It's just, I love pale yellow. I'm not so much a vibrant lemon yellow person, but I really like pale yellow. So I ink up my brush and then get a little bit of the extra off there and then just start going like this. And it's kind of funny because last night when I did, when I made this card, I thought the yellow was too dark. I don't know if I've just kind of gotten used to it or if it's soaked in and therefore lightened up a little, but I used a lot of ink because, you know, at first you get kind of this mottled look, and I didn't want the mottled look. I wanted more of a solid color. So of course that means more ink. But then it ended up being what I thought was too dark. But as I look at it now, at, you know, my sample one, it's the color I expected it to be. So again, I don't know if it lightens up or I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm looking at this right now and I think it looks really dark. But I also know this is what it looked like last night when I was making my other one. So I am putting quite a bit of ink on here, only because, like I said, I don't want, you know, a mottled look. I want it to be pretty consistent. And we'd also have mini blending brushes now. I'll get one here in a second and show you. And they're nice for getting into like smaller spaces that you might want to get. There we go. Just a little bit more and I think we're good. Did I tell you that I found out that my dog is a creeper? Did I tell you about that? There's this place she likes to hang out under my back deck. I live in a duplex, and I live in the upstairs portion, and we have this little deck, and there's this spot under our deck where she likes to hang out. I think it's because it's got a concrete pad, so it's nice and cool or whatever. Or even when it's colder out, she's protected from the elements. Well, there's like a little wall that she can look over and peek into my neighbor's house, the downstairs. And I found out the other day that she does that she likes to peek in there and spy on my neighbors. Fortunately, they love her and they think she's wonderful. But even still, it's so embarrassing. Little creeper. Okay, so I was going to say that's all, and then I found more to do. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. This is the little mini brush I was talking about. Just to give you perspective, I'll have them next to each other so you can see the difference in the size of their heads. These are always so soft. Whenever I get a new one, I love to just play with it because they're so soft. Anyway, but these are the mini ones that we also have available now. Okay, my screen is not scrolling to see comments. Let's see. How do I keep my snips from getting sticky from cutting after gluing? That's a great question, Jenny. I don't keep them from getting sticky. They get sticky. But if you take rubbing alcohol and like cotton pad or whatever, you can clean them right off. So every now and then I have to do that. Okay, so now I scored this piece, by the way, is 7 3/8, I think. Yes, it's 7 3/8 by 3 1/4. And then I scored it, let's see. I scored it at 2 3/4. So it's just like that. And we'll take the bone folder, get a nice sharp edge there. Now I wanted to bring out a little bit more of the yellow because when I was trying to decide the colors I wanted to pull together, I thought, okay, I'll pull in the yellow. And then I realized there's not a lot of the yellow showing on this little snippet that you see. So what I did is I added to the flowers. So it wasn't adding a ton of yellow, but just a little bit to pull a little bit more of it out for you to be able to see, to tie in with that inside there.
Hey, baby bird.
Then the other thing that I did is we have a little banner. Actually, I'll show you the banner in a minute. Let's hold off. But I'll tell you what I was going to tell you about. The white on white just looked, I don't know, it didn't work for me. It was too much. So I took my blender brush, which we're going to do, and I went around the edge of it ever so lightly, but it's just enough that it popped it off of that white so it stands out. So we'll do that tonight as well. Now I have this tiny little piece that is 2 1/4 by 3 1/8. So 2 1/4 by 3 1/8. And we're just going to do a tiny little bit of work on it on the inside. We're not going to stamp on it, but I have these little flowers that I used the dies. Oh, I forgot to show you everything I used. Duh. Okay, so the Zany Zoo stamps. You know I love these. I love them. I love this little turtle with his little lips. And I will point him out every single time I use this stamp set. You know it. Okay, then I also have these dies that I didn't put back in the thing, right? And they were hidden. These are the something fancy. I almost said something special. These are the something fancy dies. These are another set that's good to have because they're very versatile. They're good for making all sorts of labels and tags and that kind of thing. And then I'm also, of course, using the Zany Zoo dies that coordinate with the stamps and they coordinate with the paper. Each of the sheets of Designer Series paper has a die that will cut out a shape in that paper. So it's kind of cool. And there's so many dies here. I mean, in addition to the animals, there's all these extra pieces. There aren't even stamps for these pieces. They're just extra dies, like the trees and the flowers and the curtains. And these are, by the way, are not hot dogs. Last week I thought they were hot dogs, but they're not. They are the tiebacks for the curtains. Do you feel as silly as I did for thinking they were hot dogs? Okay, so let's see here. Yes, an alcohol swab works for cleaning the blades of your scissors too. That's a very good suggestion, Joyce. Okay, so I have these little flowers, and I cut out 2 of the big ones in Lemon Lolly, and then 2 little ones in Pool Party, and 2 little ones in Blushing Bride. Is it Blushing Bride? Yeah. So let's get our little pieces out. And I'm just going to use 3 of them on the inside because the other 3 are going to go on our tag on the front. So what I'm going to do is take my liquid glue. And I'm just putting teeny tiny little drops of glue behind the petals. Can you see that? I don't even know if you can see it because they're so tiny and my fingers are in the way. Maybe I can't see it just because I don't have my glasses on. Why is it, you guys, every week I get on here, I start stamping, and then I'm like, oh, I should put my glasses on. You'd think I would think to start with them. Okay, glasses are on now. There's a much greater chance of being able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so again, just a tiny bit of glue behind each of the petals. I'm a little nervous because I've got like a little glue booger in there or something. And you know what happens, you squeeze too hard and now all of a sudden you have 15 gallons of glue on your tiny little flower. Like that, see? When I do that, I like to just kind of like sweep it with the tip and then just transfer it over. So I'm not actually, right away I wasn't squeezing it. I was just like getting the glue on the tip and then wiping the tip. Okay, so there's one of them. Now let's do the other one. There. So now let's go ahead and glue that to the inside of our card. See, that just gives a sweet little space for leaving a message of some sort. Okay, glue. There we go. There. Glue. Got a little glue on there. See here, I'm breaking out the glue eraser again. I use it a lot, especially when you've got little things like this and you get the glue on your fingers. Then you transfer it to your project. Oh, come on. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I have my little tag that I die cut, and I'm going to take my blender brush and my lemon lolly ink. And I'm not going to color it quite so drastically as I did the inside of my card. I'm just going to very lightly go around the edges. It's just enough that it adds a little bit of color, but it'll pop off of that white pretty easily. So, just like that. Then I'm going to take my pool party ink and stamp my sentiment. Something great to celebrate. You. And you could do this if you wanted to totally decorate this somehow. You could then do your sentiment on the inside. If you didn't want to like do much more than sign the card, it would fill up some of the space in there. So now I'm going to just line that up as best I can. There. Not too bad. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing. Well, not totally the same, but we're going to take those little flowers and glue them onto our tag. Hey, Elaine, welcome. So there's our 3 itty bitty flowers. And I'm just going to kind of line this up here in the corner. I probably shouldn't have put the glue on there, on that piece. It'll dry. And then my little tiny flowers. Okay, let's go ahead and glue this onto our card. All I'm going to do here is put a little bit of my Seal Plus on one end, And then I put this down. Instead of putting it in the center, I put it down a little bit because I still want that adorable little hippo to show. Okay, and then last but not least, I have some little gems to put in the center of those flowers. And I'm using 2 different packs just because the colors I wanted were 2 different packs. I've got the solid faceted gems. And, oh, I was going to check and make sure these aren't out of stock. I hope they're not out of stock since I'm using them. And I'm just using the tiniest little ones. I'm kind of mixing and matching. So I'm going to put this one on the pink. I'm going to put the pink one on the yellow. I'll give you 3 guesses where I'm going to put the yellow one. And these are our adhesive backed solid gems. I love these colors. And these are all 3 of our new colors. Boho blue, lolly yellow, not lolly yellow. See, I can't even say it. Lemon lolly, and then copper something. Okay, so now I'm going to take one of these little guys. Now I think this is about the size I want right here. And I like that both sets come in all different sizes. Okay, let's put some stuff away here. And now let's go ahead. Now let's go ahead and glue. Oh, we still got to do our card base. So let's go ahead and glue this down onto our white. I did this just to give a nice little white frame for it to pop off on. I need to trim this down just a teeny tiny bit, it looks like. See if this is better. Yeah, it's still a little bit big. You know how picky I am about this kind of stuff. There, perfect. Perfect, perfect. So let's go ahead and glue these pieces together. It's not centered quite like I want it. There. Now I've got my card base. I've got Pool Party. This piece is just a quarter of a sheet of cardstock, so it is 4 1/4 this way and 5 1/2 this way. Copper clay. Thank you, Joyce. The gems. This color right here that I couldn't think of the color. Copper clay. Okay. Now I have a piece of Blushing Bride that is just a 1/4 of an inch smaller, so it is 5 1/4 by 4, just like the standard inside of a card is that I usually make. So now, and apparently I'm throwing little scraps of paper around now. So I line this up here. And now we're going to glue this onto our card. The other thing is, too, if you wanted a little more room to write a message, you could write something on the back as well. Okay. There we go. Card number 2. Isn't that adorable? I just love these little guys. They're so cute. So thank you to both Susan and Colleen for those awesome cards. Now, card number 3. So last week somebody asked about shaker cards, and so I said, hey, I could do it. Is it Petal Pink? Okay, Petal Pink is the one that we still have. I kept saying Blushing Bride. It's Petal Pink. Thank you for the correction, Joyce. Okay, so I am using the Beautiful Balloons stamps and dies. You can buy these as a bundle, where when you buy them together, you get 10% off. And this is a great set. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've seen some really fun stuff. And I like that it's fairly gender neutral. So you could use it for adult cards, kid cards, boy cards, girl cards, you know, gender neutral cards, whatever. And I really, really like that. So let's get going on our shaker card. Shaker cards are very intimidating to a lot of people, but they're super easy. And once you see how simple they are to make, you'll want to make 1,000 of them. So we got our matching envelope, and look, here's our card. I showed this one to Jackson, and he sat there shaking it like he loved it. He loved the shaking. Of course, Lucy loved him shaking it as well, and then she tried to steal it, and that was a problem. But anyway, so here's our card, the inside. So let's get going on our shaker card. By the way, Jackson is going to be stamping with us next week. He is going to make a Father's Day card. So you'll definitely want to tune into that, because he's not a stamper, but he has a very good, he's a good sport. And so he said, I have to design it. He's not going to design it because, well, just because. And I'm going to design it, and he's going to make it. So this one for the, okay, sorry about that. My phone was ringing. Okay, so it's a half a sheet. It is cut, that kind of threw me off. Sorry about that. 4 1/4 wide by 11 inches long. So it's just a full sheet cut in half lengthwise. And then I scored it at 5 1/2. And then used my bone folder to get a nice crisp edge there. So let's do the envelope. All 3 of my cards this week have the same envelope decor, where I just took a strip of designer series paper. And that is one thing that I do like about the designer series paper. You can carry your card to the outside by putting it on the envelope. But you know what? If you use a card that doesn't use designer series paper, then use your stamps, the stamps that match the card. That works too. And sometimes I do that. Okay, so now we're just going to stick this on here, make sure my edges come together. Yeah, that phone call was from my mechanic. He's had my car for a few weeks. The engine was done, so I had to get a new one. He put it in and then realized I might be having trouble with my transmission as well. So he was going to look at that tonight and see if that was going to be a replace the transmission kind of expense, or if it was just, you know, like a part on the transmission needs to be replaced. So we're hoping and praying that he was calling to tell me it was a part and not the whole transmission, because I'm not in a position to buy a new car right now, and it's not in a position to be traded in. Okay, so we got our envelope done with our bright, bright colors. I love that. Now for the inside of the card, inside's simple. I've got a sheet here that is 4 by 5 1/4, and then I have, let's see, just this strip of the designer series paper that we're going to put right along the edge. This is a 1/2 inch strip. So a little bit of glue. I'd like to get it all the way to the edge there so that the edges of the paper don't lift. That's a little bit crooked, isn't it? There we go. That was better. And then this edge. There we go. Oh, that one's crooked too. Goodness gracious. There. It's 8,000 degrees in my house. 8,000, I'm telling you. 8,000. Okay, now let's go ahead and stick this to the inside. I do like to do something to decorate the insides of my cards. Another demonstrator that I like says the party shouldn't end when you open the card. And I agree. I like that. I like that philosophy. So I always try to do something on the inside of my card, whether I stamp a little image in the corner, do a strip like this. Frequently I do the strips because they're easy. But I do like to do something. Okay, now let's put these pieces together. It's another piece of white that is 4 by 5 1/4, and then a piece of the designer series paper that's just 1/8 of an inch smaller, so it is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Hey, Lucy girl. And we're just going to stick that on there. Now, this next thing that I'm going to do probably does not matter to most of the world. But if you are as neurotic as I am, what I did is I looked to see what direction were my colors going. Pink is at the bottom, green is at the top. So that when I do the front, it matches. You don't have to do that. It really does not matter in the bigger scheme of things. But, you know, these are the kind of things that keep me up at night. Okay, so pink is at the bottom. Okay, now we're just going to set this little baby aside, let it think about life for a while. And now first I have this strip. This is our Azure Afternoon. I think it's a really pretty blue. It is 2.5 inches wide by 5 1/8. So 2.5 by 5 1/8. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Azure Afternoon ink and I'm going to stamp these little, I don't know if you can even really see it in the camera. Oh yeah, you can. They're little confettis. So we're just going to kind of stamp this everywhere. When you do something like this, make sure you go off the edges as well. It just gives a little bit more of a natural flow. Did I mention it's 8,000 degrees in here? It's 8,000 degrees in here. Okay, that might be cut out because of one of the steps that we're going to do, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. You know me, if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Okay, so, I'm going to clean up my snap. Well, hang on, I have to get my little chamois wet. Okay. That's much, much better. Much, much better. Okay. Excuse me, Loosey Goosey. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dies and I'm going to take this little medium-sized balloon right here. I'm going to grab my cutter. And I can use my mini embossing machine for this. So, unpack it here. I'm going to start by doing one right kind of in the middle at a little bit of an angle. Sorry about the jiggling. Just feed it right through. Now I have heard some people seem to struggle a little bit with their mini machine, and a suggestion that I would offer is try standing up. I had a little trouble with mine at first too, but once I started standing up when I used it, I no longer had trouble. So just something to think about. That one might be a little too high because there's not a lot of space between these two balloons. Now this one, see how I kind of cocked it the other direction? Oh, hold on. I might have to haul out the tape if these guys don't start behaving. That's totally what I'm going to do, Teresa. Teresa says when this is over, to sit with my fan blowing directly on me. Absolutely. Okay. And then we're going to do one more little balloon on here. I don't like how close that is, but see how there's that big gap there with those ones. Gosh darn it anyway. Okay. So I'm going to put this little guy away. Give me just a second. Put my dye away so I don't lose it. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I have these little strips. This is our Berry Burst, another new color that I love. I think it's really, really pretty. And I'm going to take my liquid glue, and I'm just going to do a little strip along, a little bit of, I don't know, am I on camera? A little bit of glue right along the edge. Thank you, Lucy. You're so helpful. She's licking my leg. And I just actually want a tiny little bit of this peeking out. So I'm going to flip it over, make sure that it's straight, make sure that I only have a little bit peeking out. There we go. Let's do the other one, and then I'll trim off both sides. Oopsie. Okay, a little glue eraser again. Told you I use it a lot. Ah, and of course just bent all my paper up. Okay, now let's trim off these edges here. There's like, there was like this little strip of yellow, and I was trying to figure out where it was coming from. It must have just been on my scissors, and then it stuck to that. There we go. Okay. So, it's funny, last night I made this card, and I got it all made, and then decided it needed these little edges. So I was trying to glue those pieces on with it already put together. It was really fun. And I thought, I am going to have to remember to put those on before. Okay, now the next thing, I took our Blueberry Bushel ink. I'm using this color just because it's slightly darker, because we're going to do the strings on the balloons, and I wanted to make sure the strings really showed well. So, you know what I need to do? I do need to take my scrap paper. I don't want to stamp on my Berry Burst strip. So, and then just like that. There's one string. Let's do this one over here. And then we'll do this side as well. Just blocking this off. Okay, we just have one string left to do. We're going to do this right here. There we go. I think I wiggled a little bit when I did that stamp, and the string didn't come out super smooth, but that's okay. Cleaning off this stamp now. It's funny with these new ink pads, they're so inky. it takes just a little bit more effort to clean the stamps. Okay, so I'm going to put the ink away. Now we're going to make the shaker part of the card. First, we're going to go ahead. I have a strip of, this is our window sheets. Where'd my window sheet go? Window sheet, there you are. They get lost on the desk really easily because they're, see-through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue it down so that it's right here. The main point is that I want it to cover up those balloons. So I'm going to put a little adhesive over here on this side. A little bit of adhesive over here on this side. There we go. And if your adhesive ends up coming out a little bit wider than your window sheet, that's okay, it's not a big deal. Okay, so I've just put it on there, so now you can see it's behind my balloons. So now I'm going to take some of our foam adhesive strips. These are leftovers that I got in a paper pumpkin kit. When you buy them regular, you get strips you get a pack like this, that they are 12 inches long. It lasts for a long time because when you don't use them all that often, and when you do, you don't use a ton of it, so it does last for quite a while. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the balloon, and this is another thing that I really like about these. You can see how bendable it is, so it works really well for going around like circles, which is hard to do with some adhesives because they're not meant for that. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are putting these end to end when you have to start with a new piece, because all your little shaker bits are going to fall out, which sounds like something entirely different, but if the seams don't meet, your shaker bits will fall out. So now I'm going to do this one. And it looks kind of janky when you can see the back like this, but that's okay because nobody's going to see this. But the foam adhesive is, it's creating a space for the bits to be able to shake around, some depth between the layers of paper, but it's also creating a dam so the shaker bits stay where you want them. Now I'm going to come back and do that little section at the end there, because I'll probably have some left over. Okay, this is going to be a little bit tricky because I'm so close to the edge here. I don't like this. Because the other thing is you don't want it to show through the front. So I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to make this one a little bit narrower, which it's already pretty narrow, so that's not ideal. But you know what? That's what we do. We make it work, right? So I'm just going to cut my little strip in half lengthwise. Oh, so carefully, because I don't think they were intended to be cut in half lengthwise. That's why they're already narrow. Okay. Make sure it's not too close to the top too. I think it's okay. It's okay. Just don't put your balloon as close to the top as I did. Then you'll be okay. There they are. Couldn't figure out where I'd set them. They were right there. Okay, so next we're going to just finish this off. I do like using it thicker. I don't like using it cut like that because it is a little more stable when it's thicker, obviously. And then let's just make a teeny tiny little piece that we're going to put in. And see, when you have leftover piece, you just stick it right back on there like that. Okay. Okay. Now, if you wanted, you could put another strip of the foam adhesive along the sides just to hold it up a little more. You don't have to. I think I might, just because I don't like, you know, how the instability of those thinner pieces there. Okay, so you've got your window sheet on. You now have your adhesive on. Now, because of turning them, bending them, the release tape starts to come off, but leave it on there if you can, because if you don't, when you go to put your little shaker bits in there, then sometimes what it does is sticks to the adhesive, and you don't want that. So the shaker bits I'm using, these are our iridescent shaker circles, and I love them. I just think they're pretty colors, and they're just kind of fun. Now, I don't go and just pour it in because they'll end up everywhere and they stick to the adhesive and it's just ugly. So I grab a few fingerfuls of it. There you go. You don't want to have too much because, of course, you know, you want them to shake around and move around. Yeah. So have any of you guys watched the show Manifest? Is anybody a Manifest watcher? Oh, you're going to have fun with them, Teresa. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and pull this off. The reason I asked if anybody's a Manifest watcher is if you are, you know that see the background, just in case you don't know, it was on regular network TV. And after the third season had already concluded, I don't know if they'd already aired the conclusion of the third season or if they had just filmed it, but after it was already filmed, the network decided not to bring it back for a fourth season. Problem was they ended the third season on a really big cliffhanger. Oh, good. Susan knows what I'm talking about. Well, Netflix turned around because the fans were all upset, as you can imagine, because they were left on this huge cliffhanger. So a cliffhanger that had been building up for 3 seasons. So Netflix bought the rights to do a 4th and final season. And about 6 months ago, they released the first half of that 4th season. And then they just a few days ago released the second half of the 4th season. And you guys, it was so good. Like I was telling Jackson, I honestly think it is the best series finale show I have ever seen. It was so good. I forgot to take my adhesive off these strips on the side. But it was so good. I really liked how, I don't want to say anything in case some of you do watch it or maybe want to watch it. But I will say, all the way up to the end, there were things that I was asking, okay, how's this going to play out? How's this going to play out? Knowing that it was the final season, so they had to wrap it up somehow. And they did a fantastic job of wrapping it all up, everything. Kudos to Netflix. They did an amazing job. Okay, so I just took a white strip now that I laid over that. So now all my shaker bits are trapped inside there. See? There you go. Isn't that pretty? Aren't those pretty? I love them. Okay, now we're going to just put this on our card. Actually, we're going to wait to put it on the card because we want to do the sentiment. Our sentiment says, I think it's time for a celebration. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and use the blueberry bushel again, just because I want a second opportunity to bring that in so it doesn't look so random on my balloon strings. I just have a strip here that is 3/4 of an inch wide. And I'm going to stamp this right about the middle. Is it 3/4? Actually, it is 5/6 of an inch. 5/8 of an inch. Okay. Then flip her over, and I'm just going to put a lot of adhesive on it because I want to make sure it goes all the way across. And then I'm going to lay it kind of at an angle over my middle balloon. And I'm going to trim off these edges. And put a little adhesive here and here. Ooh. Let me make sure that. There we go. And we're going to put it right on the front of our card. We're going to center it. And there you have your shaker card. See, easy. The trick, I'm telling you, is the foam adhesive strips. They make it so easy. Again, it doesn't have to look pretty when you're doing it, which is nice, because it's all in the back. Nobody sees it. So there you go. Our final card. So let's clean up the mess here, and then we'll take a peek at all the cards that we made tonight. And I'll let you go, like I'm holding you hostage here. I love that you guys join me every week. This is so much fun for me, and I know I tell you this every week, but it is the best part of my week, and I really do mean that. So let's move some stuff. Uh-oh, my stuff's falling apart over here. Okay. Goodness, I can't seem to get myself together. Okay, so we have our lovely little shaker card that we just did. I love this. Love it. And shaker cards are such a big wow for people. Like, you send them one and they're just like, oh, that's so amazing. And now that you know how easy it is, you'll send more of them, right? Okay, so then we also have our little zoo pals, Zany Zoo. We love them. Put this in the middle. And then finally we have this beautiful little fun fold right here. So I want to thank our guest designers who didn't even know they were guest designers tonight. Thank you, Susan. If you guys had fun tonight, if you enjoyed what we did, be sure to give me likes and thumbs up and hearts and all that stuff. It tells the algorithm, both for Facebook and YouTube, that this is something people like and maybe more people would like it, and they put it out there, and that's how my business grows. So I appreciate when you do that. It also strokes my ego, and we all like that on occasion, right? Thank you, Talina. If you want to purchase any of the items, the supplies for the items that I made, and you don't have a demonstrator you're already working with, I would love to earn your business. You can check things out on my website at heathersides.stampinup.net. That's the same place you'll go if you want more information about signing up with Stampin' Up. Or like I said, you can email me or send me a message here on Facebook. If you do some shopping on my site, take advantage of that paper sale I told you about. Please use this host code. This is what helps me to be able to continue to provide these videos for free, along with prizes, things like that. If your order is over $150, no judgment here. I've been known to do that on occasion myself. If your order is over $150, please don't use the host code. You will have some free products coming to you from Stampin' Up, and I want to make sure that you are the one who receives them. So I hope you had a great time tonight. I did. I love Lucy says hello. I love getting together with you guys every week. So I will see you guys same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.